we have been able to achieve 150 million ton of CO2 reduction for our customers just in last financial year alone.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you to Forbes Middle East for hosting this panel. I think you'll find very stimulating and interesting. The topic of our panel today has been said is achieving excellence and sustainable development. It's my job and the job of my esteemed panelists to convince you that excellence and sustainable development can be achieved together, and so I'm looking forward to the discussion. Now, before I get into the discussion with the panelists and get their views on the topic, I'll give a bit of context on how I see sustainable development fitting in with the leadership that we're going to hear about today in the United Arab Emirates and throughout the Middle East. At the heart of sustainable development, as many of you are aware, is the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda. The agenda has 17 goals. We won't go through all of those today, but what I will talk about is 3 goals in particular which will form the core of the discussion. And the reason I'm going to focus on 3 goals is our leaders today have quite a bit of excellence in what they're doing in their industries. Industry is at the heart of so much of sustainable development that many may not be aware of the extent to which we're making change in a sector which traditionally has been thought of being one that's sort of dirty and actually taking away from the first SDG I'll talk about, SDG 13. SDG 13 is climate change. Climate change, as we know, is largely a result of greenhouse gas emissions. Carbon dioxide emissions are at the core of those GHGs, and industry accounts for roughly 30% globally of all emissions. In the UAE, because of the way our economy is formed, it's even a higher number. So SDG 13 is critically important. Now SDG 9, if I keep going through the numbers, 9 is about industry per se. So we talk about industry, innovation, and infrastructure. So here it's not just about climate change, it's also about thinking how industry itself impacts sustainable development, so it's directly related to what our panelists will talk about. And finally, we don't only want to think about climate, we want to think about the broader set of issues in sustainability. So I talk about SDG 8, which is really about good jobs and economic growth. So those 3 SDGs are what we're going to relate today to in our discussion with the panelists. I'm going to start now with my first question for the panel, and I'd like to first, although I love metals, I won't start right away with steel. It's one of my topics I'm passionate about, and I'm doing a lot of work on that myself. Let's start with Yasser. So Yasser, you're the Group Chief Executive of National Marine Dredging Company. I'd like to hear more about that. The question I have for you is, what are the biggest challenges your company faces with regard to sustainability, and how are you driving forward change in your industry? So I'd like to spend some time, as much as you need, to tell us about this.
Yeah. Thanks, Steve. As you know, NMDC has different business units. And each business unit has different industry. And each industry has its own challenges for sustainability. If we come to dredging industry, as you all know, dredging industry is heavy equipment oriented. And this heavy equipment oriented consumption of the fuel is huge. So it's really challenging how to decarbonize there or consider this while you talk about sustainability, especially that still the biofuel or the green fuel is not yet common around the industry to use it for heavy equipment. So what we do try our best to minimize the carbon emission. We try to optimize the design of engine, equipment's performance to reduce the consumption of fuel, as well as we use a variety of different fuel to be a little bit friendly for the sustainability. On the other hand, we focus on this kind of heavy equipment oriented for net zero more than to stop emission, because this is impossible for us. For example, when we do dredging, you will find on the dredging as well different activity like for example, civil construction also. So to design the civil construction in a way to be a sustainable design, then you can embrace the sustainability. We have in each project construction environmental management plan. This robust plan, once you adhere with the restrictions, with really to get solution for net emission, that will be great. For example, if we have any environmental impact on certain project, and this happened with us and this is not recently. I can give you example. Of course, we are doing this recently as well and every day, but I give you example to show that NMDC really embracing this culture since long time ago. 2008, we have one of the major projects for Abu Dhabi, and that major project was that time crossing an environmental area where we have some damage for some seagrass. The solution we came with, we came out from this project by certain material and we made island as initiatives and we called it Habitat Island. And by the way, that Habitat Island, you have seen it on the video for the kids. They went there and they made the video there for marine life, for enhancing the marine life. So you have certain impacts there, but definitely the project has to go ahead because we work for development. So we get the compensation, mitigation, but much positive impact more than the negative impact. In other industries under NMDC, if we talk about manufacturing, so we try our best to use as well friendly material and reduce circular, recirculating the material, stop wasting as much as we can. But the main challenges even here I would like to mention that by end of the day we are contractor and we are responsible for our shareholder investment. Normally when we try to use, and I'm sure Bashwand Said, he's aware about this very well, when we try to use friendly material, this is more expensive. So I call it always green premium. So we need to know who's going to pay for this green premium. This is important. If we all, as a collaboration, as we said before, as I mentioned as well, to make it as a culture, we collaborate together to agree in certain mechanism for this, I believe that will be much, much important than if we work individually on that. If we have collective action on that, agree on the collaboration, who's going to do what, we consider the cost, we consider that the contractor by the end of the day has to make money, I believe we will have good progress on this.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate the green premium had to come in at some point. So we know that today we're going towards sustainability, but not all the solutions have an economic case without some kind of support. And that brings me, I will come back to my favorite topic, metals. I have my choice between aluminum and steel, so let me start with aluminum, if we may. So the question I have for the panelists, we had outlined what the discussion will be about today, and we're looking at sustainable development, particularly with a focus on industry. The aluminum sector in the UAE is critically important. I spend quite a bit of time on the emissions from the country and how we can mitigate those. I know aluminum, some people aren't aware that up to 10% of our emissions from the UAE are coming from the aluminum sector, and you're actively trying to get that level of emissions reduced. I know you're doing an amazing job. So could you tell us a little bit about what challenges your company is facing, particularly toward dealing with sustainability from the environmental perspective, and how strategically you're bringing in your solutions to EGA?
Thank you for such a question. We believe aluminum is essential metal for decarbonization of the global economy. And we believe aluminum will continue to grow. Our forecast said it will grow by 50 to 80% by 2050. And you know, aluminum has a special characteristics. So aluminum into everything you can see around us, you know, from mobile phones to EV cars to wind farms. So this is need to be to continue. The important question is how sustainable the aluminum is made. And we are proud of the step we already been taken. And we are proud to make the UAE the first country in the world to produce aluminum based on solar power. And we managed to produce more than 50,000 tons. It was sold within 1 week to a company called BMW Group. And all the BMW cars now is basically manufactured from EGA metal. To add to the second step, we started the feasibility study for the first secondary smelter, which is basically the scrap aluminium which need to be recycled. And we are waiting for approval from our board of directors to build 200,000 tons of recyclable aluminium. You take the scrap, which is very low carbon. It requires only 10% of energy to remelt the product. You mix it with green aluminium produced by solar, and that will give us the lowest carbon footprint of aluminium made globally. It's gonna be in high demand, and we are looking forward to produce more. Produce more of these products in the future. We have strategic initiatives. We already announced it to the public. Is basically we're going to divest our power station, which is considered to be from capacity point of view number 3 after OWIC and DIWA, talking about 6 gigawatts, which is huge. And it will instead we will import reasonable amount of renewable power, talking about nuclear power, wind power, solar power from the grid. And because of our fleet considered to be the most efficient in the UAE, I think there is a big synergy between us and the grid. And one of the best characteristics about our load profile here in the smelter, we have a base load. So we require power throughout the year. It's not like a utility. The load is cyclic. And for any investor who can do renewable power, he will enjoy great return. We are also considering our refinery. Our refinery is at the moment working in natural gas. We are working with the O&M how we can convert it to be able to burn hydrogen. And hopefully when the hydrogen prices in the UAE will be competitive, I think we will be also acquiring such a beautiful product to our decarbonization. It's not easy. We are focusing in the next 7 years, or let's say 15 years, in energy. Energy basically represents more than 60% of our emissions. The remaining thing is coming from the aluminum smelting facilities. Because of the low concentration of carbon in these emissions, we are really, at the moment, have big technical challenges. The technology is not there yet to capture, but we are looking forward to work with R&D departments, with O&M, see how we can do more. The great thing about our site in Jabal Ali, we believe the under Jabal Ali area is a great area. Geological characteristic of the area is great, which will help us to store the CO2 under the ground. So a lot of things we are doing, and we are committed to net zero by 2050. We are working hard to basically finalize our target for 2030, but we believe we'll be, if not online with our industry, we will be better than our industry. And from other greenhouse gas emissions, if you compare ourselves with the industry average, we are 41% lower. And something we are proud of. We are proud of our technology. We are the only company in the aluminum space outside China has its own technology. And we've been developing our technology for the last 25 years, which basically save 38% of the electricity consumed. Also, I can give you another example. I mean, we have a potent gas called PFC, and this is one of the green gas house emissions intensity. And I would like to tell you, finally, we done the study, and we believe we are more than 90% lower than our industry peers. Our product, from quality point of view, is great. From the emission point of view, great. I'm personally proud about what we have achieved so far, but it's a long way to go to net zero. But we are committed to be there.
Your answer did not disappoint. Very, very impressive. I must say, the UAE is a country which all the world should look to for how we can decarbonize aluminum. I do a lot of work on industrial carbonization, and people talk about steel, they talk about cement, they talk about chemicals. Aluminum globally is important, but not with the same level of importance as we have here in the country, and you're doing so much, it's highly impressive. I'll come back, I have some interesting questions for you if we have time at the end, but that was impressive. And Homo, maybe someday you'll drive a BMW with the EGA aluminum in that. Maybe you're already doing so we'll have to check your car. We'll come to metals now again. So one of the interesting dynamics of the UAE is the emissions from the iron and steel sector here are actually not that high, relatively speaking, because we already have a pretty clean industry led by Emirates Steel Arkan. So Saeed, you don't have to tell us that you're going to clean up a dirty industry so much, but you're doing a great job at Emirates Steel Arkan. So you can tell us about how you're leading your strategic development to decarbonize the sector.
Sure. Okay, thank you so much, Steve. I will really appreciate to really be part of this panel. Feeling very comfortable sitting next to the aluminum. So it's really nice to be here. Competition, but it's also like synergy at the same time. Look, I think just to know, we are producing steel. I mean, in the group we produce steel and cement. So there's a big task in front of us in terms of decarbonization, because globally, I would say steel and cements are responsible of 16% of global, CO2 emissions worldwide. Of course, not us, but that's the worldwide. So there's a lot for us really to do, but I would say the opportunity here is whatever we do also will really have big impact. So from the good side, of course, from the emissions point of view, but also for steel is going everywhere, where if we decarbonize, of course that the effects, the ecosystem will be affecting many other industries. And that's also, of course, captured in our implementation plan, in our decarbonization plan, where we are going for 40% reduction, inshallah, by 2030 and to net zero by 2050. Now, if we talk about the challenges, there are many, for sure. But if I put it in in perspective, I would say it's more of timing and synchronization of three main elements. One is actually the implementation of this decarbonization. So the timing and the implementation of this decarbonization. If we talk about steel, for example, there's several solutions to decarb, using scrap, for example, capturing CO2, of course, efficiency of the energy, using the energy, renewable energy, and that we have done in Emirates Steel, where that's actually put us today in a very good position. It's actually similar to Abdel Nasser here. We are in a 40% less than the world average, and that's a really good start. And that's, I think, something we should be very proud of. And this is one part. And of course, from the timing perspective, as I said, to really synchronize, for us to really go for net zero, we need hydrogen. This is also mentioned by Abdel Nasser. Hydrogen is very important. So, and I think we are lucky, as you said, we are in UAE, where this is really the area where we can really capitalize and the renewable energy to really produce green hydrogen, and subsequently we can produce green steel. So we can substitute the natural gas with hydrogen and then produce green steel. That's number one. Number two is also, I think, mentioned by Yasser, is the maturity of the market. Maturity with the acceptance of the increment cost that the industry will encounter, to be accepted, as simple as that. And that's at the end, someone has to really pay this increment. And we see maturity is coming worldwide. Of course, in Europe, perhaps it's more advanced than others, but we see now Far East, Japan, and perhaps this part of the area is also where it's maturing. As of course, subsequently it will come to us, and I think this is important. The third element, which is also very important for us, I think, is the introduction of the legislations. For us to really have an equal playing field, we have to really have these legislations within the countries where one country cannot really have these legislations against the others, and then you have this disadvantage. Also, I think Europe is advanced in this regards. We see it because we we export to Europe. CBAM, for example, which is being developed now, and I think the good thing is happening there is that the dialogue and the conversation happening between the governments and the companies to really have this alignment and to counter everybody's needs and to really have it in a frame where it's beneficial for all parties. Yeah.
Thank you, Saeed. I know you have a tough job. You were probably doing so well with steel. They said, let's give them cement too. So now you are.
Of course, yeah. I mean, cement is, of course, that's important thing. The cement is a bit. I wouldn't really say harder. Both of them are difficult, but at least from the steel point of view, the technology is already there. Cement yet to be developed, so there are technologies are being developed, and of course, this will be part of our journey. But relatively, both of them, the technologies can be done, and I think, as I said, from our plans, we're very committed to really reach there. Yeah.
And the challenge we've heard, the common challenge right now for aluminum, cement, steel, construction, the green premium. It's expensive now to get to the technologies that we need to really go deeply into decarbonization of these sectors. Helmut has a slightly different challenge. The first step in trying to achieve a cost-efficient decarbonization pathway is efficiency, digitalization. So that's kind of the playbook. And Siemens, which you are a leader in, global leader in digitalization, is doing exactly this. So can you tell us a bit about your challenges and how Siemens is strategically addressing the SDGs?
First of all, thanks a lot, Stuart, for having me on the panel and also being part of the first Forbes Middle East Sustainability Leaders Summit. I think this is a fantastic event, not only for the run-up to COP28, and as we heard from His Excellency Ambassador Majid, this is really something which we all are gearing up to, and we are really dedicated to work together with the different stakeholders to make this a success. Siemens is one of the first industrial companies that actually also signed up to achieving net zero targets, and we have even more so enhanced our targets from FY19 now to FY25 by reducing 55% of our emissions, with a 90% reduction aimed for in FY2030, spending 650 million euros just for all our own operational decarbonization efforts. So, but what, and Siemens is a technology company, as you said. So when we look now at, first of all, we look at our own. I mean, we are customer zero in a lot of cases. We are running factories, we have offices, we have campuses where we are working at. And what do we need to do there in order to decarbonize? Because this is really, as you said, this is the main focus. So we deploy technology, starting by implementing IoT. And just to give you an example, COP28 is happening at Expo City. When Expo 2020 happened in Dubai, we were the premier infrastructure digitalization partner for the whole Expo site. So we deployed our IoT solution to monitor, to make transparent the data that you need in order to really understand on an operational level what is required to take steps in order to increase your energy efficiency, for example. You reduce carbon emission by reducing some of the energy consumers that you have and optimizing the way how they are being used. And this is something that is happening right now as we speak. And this is also something that we showcase at COP28. We are a proud sponsor of COP28 this year again. So first of all, we deploy our own technology on our own sites, but also then on our customer sites. We have been able to achieve 150 million ton of CO2 reduction for our customers just in last financial year alone. And when you talk about technology, so more or less it's really combining the real world with the digital world. So you are using IoT, you start having machines talking to each other, buildings talking to each other. And then you use this, the data that you get, you create, for example, digital twins. So digital twin technology is for us one of the core technologies to simulate without the need of really building something in the physical world. You simulate it in the virtual world. You create a live virtual world, which in other terms also is called the industrial metaverse. We have physics-based digital twin technology that we also are utilizing with our partners, with EGA, with others, where we are utilizing physics-based digital twin technology, and now enhanced with NVIDIA's Omniverse photorealistic approach. So you really create an environment where you can hardly distinguish between the real world and the virtual world. And this technology allows you to really simulate. It's not just a picture or just not a movie, it's a real live simulation where you can, without moving a single brick, simulate the performance of a whole factory. We do this, for example, for one of the gigafactories of a battery manufacturer. Just one example, which allows him to then also showcase to his potential investors how his whole operations is going to work, how he optimizes on a continuous basis without disruption of his productions, the way how he can increase the efficiency, how he can increase productivity, how he can change certain parameters in order to optimize then if certain, let's say, environmental conditions are changing. And then this virtual realization, you translate it into the real world. For example, we built our own factory, again, coming back to our own example, we built a complete digital native factory in China, increasing the productivity by, I think, 30%, reducing energy consumptions. Another example is, look at the Levy plants here, Bustanica, which is one of the world's biggest vertical farms, which is actually in Dubai, with Emirates Flight Catering and Crop One. You use digital technology in order to produce 1 million kilos of salad, reducing the water consumption by 95%, reducing the amount of the need of utilizing pesticides to 0. Yeah, so these are all achievements that could not be there without the proper use of digital technology. We have our own open IoT platform, we call it Siemens Accelerator. And we just recently announced the collaboration with Microsoft to deploy Siemens industrial AI co-pilots on the workshop, allowing people, maintenance engineers, people that are actually working on the shop floor in a very easy way, with a very easy interaction with the computer to translate and enhance productivity levels using large language models, rather than having the need of doing programming, which then also takes weeks. And by adopting generative AI technology, you can do this in minutes, what you have been previously doing in weeks. Yeah? So this, again, all works in order to really focus on achieving sustainability targets, be it and as you said, very rightly said, why would the customer, or what is it that the customer needs to understand in order to pay more for this? Yeah? The transparency that you create in order to understand why is the product like BMW, like your green aluminum you're doing. I think this is fantastic, and more people need to know about this. That you say, okay, with my choice that I made for a product, I do something good for the environment.
Well, I'm going to come back to you on this. You know, we chatted a bit previously about the industrial metaverse, and it's quite interesting. If you think about, it was a year or two ago, we saw Facebook become Meta. And at the time, everyone thought, man, this is really ridiculous. I mean, there's a metaverse, and of course, there was all kind of challenges for Facebook to make that transition. But now, we've seen since that time, ChatGPT get worked into tools like Copilot, getting worked into industrial systems, it's impacting efficiency. It takes me to the next part of what I want to talk about today, which is really getting to the people part of sustainability. So, we said there was the climate change part, there's that SDG 13, innovation, industry infrastructure, SDG 9. Now, there is other aspects to sustainable development, and we look at the SDG 8, that's about looking at good jobs, economic growth, and it gets down to the people aspects of what we're doing in sustainability. And so we'll go around again, and maybe we'll come back and hear about your people now becoming avatars or something like that. Think about it. I won't come to you first. Yasser, when it comes to sustainability from all the angles, we hear about ESGs all the time. When you look about the social and the governance aspects, how are you addressing this at NMDC?
Of course, ESG for us, it's crucial, something crucial. As NMDC growing and diversifying, but our strategy to keep NMDC growing young. This is crucial for us. Growing young means innovation and means as well for us to be proactive instead of reactive. So if you look at several aspects for an MDC project, for example, it's not only matter of how to react for the project, but we should be proactive, and we do that in MDC before even we start the project, how to design design the project differently, and as well as under robust system of environmental construction plan. For example, we have one project, building islands for gas production with ADNOC, and that project, we used in purpose, intentionally, all kinds of protections for the islands by natural resources. And we use there 22 million ton of rock, natural rock. You can imagine if we have this figure in concrete. So carbon emission, of course, is huge, as well as you can imagine what kind of activities behind manufacturing and making this concrete ready. So we get rid of all of these undesirable actions behind by using just simple things, change the design by good engineering-wise, by good innovation, by being proactive, by growing young. So this is very important. So under environmental-wise, we talk about robust system for environmental. We talk about how to be proactive. We have to innovate more and more. When we talk about socialism, social for us, we understand socialism is that you need to care about the basic needs. One of the major things for basic need is job opportunities. When we talk about the group, 25,000 employees working for NMDC. So for me, it's a 25,000 family. So we talk about more than 100,000 persons under NMDC social. That's true. And we care about employees, we care about schooling for them, healthcare, and this is part of social. On the other side, facilities. NMDC took initiative, for example, to clean all beaches around Abu Dhabi. All water, not only beaches even, all water around Abu Dhabi with well cooperation and discussion under the supervision of environmental authority. When it comes to governance, we are public listed. So we are very transparent, we are open to the market, we have certain rules and regulations, robust, we have management system robust, not only for here, but global-wise. Whenever you go for any NMDC employee, global-wise, you will find them adhering to same system, same culture, thinking exactly same people working here in Abu Dhabi. So robust system for ESG, considering all of the kind of aspects to be proactive, to stay growing young.
And excellent comments. I know, Saeed, it's Emir Arkan, ESG is equally important.
Yeah, of course. Okay, well, I think ESG is like, it's very broad, it's a very wide subject, and it touches many, many topics. But as you said, perhaps peoples are the most important thing, and given the time limitation, I would focus a little bit more here. And heavy industry, of course, for us, people are everything. And then I think one very, very important aspect here is safety. And for us, we have 3,000 employees. Safety comes, I would not really say first, but it's up, above, and most important thing, above anything, in the company. And for that, we need to really make sure, the safety of people are there. And alhamdulillah, from us, it's actually a journey where today I can tell you, safety is not really a mandate or a priority or something. It's more of the culture of the company, where it's everything comes around it, whether it's cost, whether it's operations, whatever it goes, come back to safety of people comes first. And that also shows, of course, in our numbers, alhamdulillah, comparing with worldwide, we are way better in terms of numbers. Another thing, I think, as much as safety is important, is the well-being of the people. And for that is also, we believe, you give people job satisfaction, job security, happiness, for sure, work balance, and they give you creativity, they will give you innovation, and they will perform better. And that's something we always focus in the company. Another third, which is also very important, not only for the company but for the society, is amortization. And the way I think of amortization, it's not really a mandate only, but it's a gratitude that we put as a company for the society that we're coming for. Today we have around 600 UAE nationals in the company. Most of them are young, more on the technical part of the business. What is very important for me is not only to really have Emiratis, Emiratis in the company, more than of transfer the knowledge to them. So it's pool of expertise that creating the knowledge of steel making and cement production is actually transferred to those UAE nationals, as of course to take it to the next generation. So Emiratization is very important, not only the numbers, but also the knowledge really transfer.
What I've gathered from both Yasser and Saeed is, when we think about net zero, we're always thinking about this technical and economic trajectory that the group CEO or the company CEO has to be worried about, but it's so much more. I mean, I think this is why to be the chief executive of a major organization today is so difficult, is when you think about bringing in the people and their safety and their families and how they are able to operate and be productive in the company. And additionally, when you have to look at the workforce demographic, the composition, it's extraordinarily challenging. I think, Al-Nasser, you'd probably tell us the same things that are happening over at EGA, but maybe a little bit different from your perspective around the ESG, the work that you're doing.
Well, at EGA, we decided to embed sustainability in everything we do. So ESG now is top of our priority. I believe green is the new economy that everybody need to ride the wave pretty soon before it's too late. And ESG, even in my KPI, the board put 30% ESG rating for me. So for me, this is basically a serious business. And recently we have done ESG evaluation to get our ESG rating by a third party. And we were very happy that our rating become very strong and the company being categorized as low risk in this business. I would like to talk about a lot of things about ESG, it's a big topic to talk, but I would like to cover the gender diversity here. This is something close to my heart, and I believe the organization with high diversification, I think they outperform other organizations, and decision makers usually much better comparing to others. At EGA, we decided to increase our female employees 1% per year. So we're targeting to have 25% by 2025 in all supervisory roles at the company. We have a company, the direct employees more than 7,400, and with the indirect we are 10,000. So 25% is very good, big number for us. We would like to continue more for the non-supervisory, or the overall female in our organization will be more than 15%. Our industry, I think steel is the same as usually man-dominated industry, but now with the female introduction, we can see the difference. And I'm surprised with their energy, with their dedication to the job, and the challenge we are putting in front of them. And they are really, by all means, they're exceeding our expectation. Now we introduce more than 400, I think close to 500 women in our operation, whether it's corporate and operation. And we introduce also more than 60 female employees in operation, production cell operators. It's very, very difficult, but to my surprise, they accepted the challenge, they accepted the job, and they are doing a wonderful job for us. And actually, we are concentrating on the sustainability of such improvements, so we are investing a lot on female facilities. Our site in Jabal Ali was built in the 70s. There is no basically facility, not even part of the design, to have a facility for female, but we are investing a lot of money there to basically make their life a bit easier and continue working for us. This is very important from nationalization. Now the board give us a green mandate to increase the nationalization from 1% per year to 2% per year. And we're working a lot with NAFIS and other companies to increase our nationalization percentage. At the moment, we are 42%, but soon we'll be pushing for 50%. People is, for me, is the most important asset in the organization. We invested a lot in the leadership courses and the technical courses because we will embark on them for our growth story. And joining EGA at this time, I think, is critical for anyone because EGA is going to go global very soon, and EGA will be concentrating on more sustainable growth, whether it is in primary or secondary. Secondary is very important for decarbonization. And also we are considering investment in energy transition metals. Yeah, something like lithium, anything to help us with decarbonization, we are going to consider it in the future. And I think it will create it will deepen the industry here within the UAE. We've been successful investing in bauxite mining Guinea. Guinea is not an easy country to do business with, but been successful. We become the second largest supplier of bauxite in the world within 2-3 years. And we are bringing all the goods to the UAE to be reprocessed again and adding value to our GPD and creating more jobs. And we will be continuing to do the same story for other metals, inshallah, in the future.
Well, thank you very much. And I'm really glad you brought up the gender diversity piece to it, because that's an SDG I didn't bring up, but it's critically important in the workforce. And so we want to keep in mind that what I said are the SDGs relevant to industry are not all of them, and you made some excellent points on that, so thank you. And of course, what all EGA is doing, we could probably talk for hours about that, but in the interest of time, we're going to come back for one last comment on this topic to you, Helmut. Do you want to talk about the metaverse or say something different about ESG?
First of all, allow me to add 2 or 3 points to what my fellow panelists have said. I mean, for us also, I think the human aspect is the most important one. And that's again why for us COP28 with the aspect of inclusion is so crucial, that the call to action can only happen by having everyone on board and really all hands on deck. And that is something where you need to really also create the level of awareness that is necessary. And not only in our own organization, where we have a target of 25 digital learning hours per employee per year. We spent last year 280 million euros just to enhance our education and training facilities in order to really create this momentum for everyone. We have about 330,000 employees, for everyone to really understand what does this mean? What does sustainability mean? What are we actually required to do? And it's health and safety and everything on the ESG aspect. So this is really, really crucial. And not only ourselves, but I think even more so working together with our partners and with our customers. And if you look at this, I have one very, very good example, and that is something that the Ministry of Industry and Advanced Technology actually did in the UAE. When the Operation 300 billion was announced in order to enhance your industrial contribution to the GDP from 120 billion to 300 billion in 2031. The question was, what is our industrial landscape looking like? You have big players here. You are really leading in those areas, but they are the small and medium-sized enterprises. And what is needed in order for them to enhance, for them to attract foreign direct investment and to build up the local capacity? So the ministry came and said, okay, we need to do an assessment of our industrial landscape. And we did, as Siemens, we did about 200 companies. We assessed 200 companies to create an understanding. What is the industrial landscape looking like? And based on this one, we are proud to have been working together with the Ministry of Industry and Advanced Technology to create an index. The index is called ITTI, Industrial Technology Transformation Index. And not only does it support companies in understanding what can they do from a digitalization point of view in order to have applied Industry 4.0, they become more competitive, more productive, but it also evaluates, and I think this is something which is for some of the companies which have not really been working in this field, how do they stand in regards to sustainability, for example, to their peers? So, and then based on the assessment, you can create and work on a plan. You create a business case, you can work on a plan. What is needed in order for you to take the necessary steps to develop your specific company, your industry, and the nucleus that you are creating to become a very competitive industrial landscape then here in the UAE. And not only here in the UAE, you mentioned Guinea. This index is also supposed to be translated then into other countries and help other economies. Again, inclusion, adoption. Another aspect of climate change discussion. How can other economies develop in a sustainable way their businesses? How can societies and local communities work together, utilizing partners, financing that is being made available? And with all of this, now coming to the point, you can use actually digital twin technology. You can use the industrial.
I knew you were going to come back to it.
I have to. Because this allows you then to really simulate, again, if you are setting up a factory in the northern part of, I don't know, Africa or somewhere, or in other parts where you have difficulties reaching it in an easy way. This is how you bring, in a collaborative way, people together. The engineer from the States, the technician from Germany, the local personnel on the ground, maybe someone here from the UAE or from other areas. And then in an industrial metaverse, in the collaborative way, you can discuss in the virtual world, what is it that you need to do, for example, for your factory? How can you optimize it? What is, for example, if there's a problem appearing? The robot that you have deployed is not working as it should work. So you go back in time, you analyze what has happened, you rectify it, and then you're also using AI, you can simulate what is happening in the future and what measures do you need to take in order to optimize the behavior of a robot or pot or something to make it more feasible, and then you deploy it in the real world without disrupting the setup or without having to fly lots of people around the globe. And this is something which helps people really to collaborate much, much better. And I think this is the aim that we are having, how you enhance collaboration, how you enhance the aspect of partnership and working together to achieve this one goal, and that's the one that we are working for.
Well, thank you so much. Unfortunately, I believe we're probably out of time. We've gone a little bit over, but I was told we had a little bit more time because some of the schedule got shifted. But once again, thank you to our panelists. It was my job and the panelists' job to convince you that excellence and sustainable development are done together, and I think we've done that. Maybe I'm biased, but I'll leave that judgment to you. Let's give a hand for our panelists. Thank you very much.